Welcome. This is Richard Roseman, VP of Mortgage Lending, Guaranteed Rate Affinity. It's time for the Unmasking Mortgage series. This is Breath1. It's an unprecedented time that we're living in right now. And with all the widespread vaccinations that are taking place, I'm hoping that we're all going to be able to unmask at some point, hopefully by the summer. But I also want to unmask some of the details of mortgage financing. This first episode, Breath1, talks about the necessary documentation to get you properly pre-approved and into underwriting without any hiccups. A lot of times people question the amount of documentation that's needed. And as an expert that's been trained and licensed with over 20 years experience, I would rather the professional I'm working with be as thorough as possible. So you think about it, when you work with other professionals, such as the doctor, you don't want them to skimp on any of the details. You don't want them just to say, hey, stick out your tongue and say, yeah, you got a clean bill of health. Or if you're working with an attorney and they are investigating your case and only interview one witness, you're going to think he dropped the ball. Or a mechanic that's reviewing a car you want to purchase and he just checks the battery. Another great example related to this is if you're buying a home. The home inspector just rings the doorbell and tells you, oh, everything looks fine here. You're good, no worries. So same thing with us. I want to make sure that I get you across the finish line quickly, seamlessly, without any stumbles along the way. I don't want you to fall into a sinkhole when it goes into underwriting and jeopardize your down payment or anything else. So let's get all the proper documentation done upfront and correctly. So what typically is needed for the majority of home buyers? Well, if you take a look at this list here, you're looking at what will give you a very smooth and stress-free process. There's a few different categories, but when it comes to the actual documentation, you want to look at this other list here, which is going to show you exactly what's needed. So typically it's 1 month most recent pay stubs, and often, depending upon how you're compensated, we would like to see a year-end pay stub that shows cumulative salary and bonus income earned, or if you're hourly, cumulative total of the hours you worked and overtime you might have accrued as well. Then we want to see 2 months most recent bank statements for checking and savings. Maybe you have an account with Citizens or Wells Fargo. And then if you have investment accounts, possibly it's retirement, could be with Fidelity, maybe you've got Robinhood, which is very popular today. We might need to see all those assets because you might need to show us not only what you have for funds for a down payment, but also might need to see that you have funds available for reserves and the closing costs and escrows. And in addition to that, 2 years most recent W-2s, 2 years most recent federal tax returns, which are the 1040s. A lot of people send us the entire tax document. We don't need to see the state tax returns, but if you don't know how to separate them, send them along. I'll look them over. And then we would be looking at your driver's license. That pretty much covers the basics. Now, each individual might have something that's a little different. You could have a situation where you are a permanent resident alien, so we might need to see the front and back of your green card. Maybe you already own some existing properties, some of which you're not going to sell. Maybe they're investment properties or vacation home. We'll need to see documentation such as mortgage statements for those. You might own your own business, so we might need to see business tax returns. And then you could have some prior adverse credit, like a bankruptcy or a foreclosure. So there are documents related to that. And even more exciting is that once we get all those documents, after reviewing them, it could trigger some additional questions and requests. So what's going to happen is I'm going to do the absolute thorough, proper job for you up front so that when I issue you a pre-approval letter, you're going to have 100% certainty, as will the seller and list agent you submit your offer to, that I can get you financing, fulfill all the promises I've made, and close you on time or ahead of schedule. That's what getting all the proper documentation means up front. If you work with a lender or a bank or a broker that doesn't do this level of thoroughness, you're likely putting yourself in jeopardy and wasting your time, the realtor's time, the seller's time. And I don't want that to happen. That's why I have 100% proven record of getting everyone across the finish line when I issue them a pre-approval letter. I don't think I can get you financing up front. I'm going to tell you that. And I'm going to give you some steps to work on to improve your situation so you can get financing later down the road. So if you want to look at this other item here as well and kind of understand what's involved and why you need to provide some of these documentations, you certainly can do that. So in the end, work with someone like myself, a professional who's been doing it for 20 years. I know what documentation is necessary. I'm not going to let you stumble across the finish line. Let's talk again. It's Richard Roseman, VP Mortgage Lending, Guaranteed Rate Affinity. Reach me anytime at 781-910-8280. Bye.